All right, so this is the Oz report for June 11th, 2022, and we're going to start as is customary with Plex. So Plex prices have jumped up to around 3.9 million. Reason for that that latest jump, besides the long-term jump of the sub increase, is that there's a sale for Omega Time in the NES, in the in-game store, where you can buy Omega Time with 20% off Plex, and that means that the demand for Plex certainly has increased and piled on all of the other reasons for Plex prices to already be rallying. Look at the last week's episode on reasons for that. So Plex price rallying again at 3.9 million. I don't think it's going to hold. I think it's going to come back down. But you never know. Whenever I say that, CCP might come up with another sale. And, joking aside, sales are going to be increasing because that is the only way that CCP, coming off of the $20 sub price now, will be able to influence the true cost of the sub. And if at some point CCP realizes that the price was just too high and too many people are either going alpha or leaving the game, then sales is what they're going to use to drive to counteract that move. So expect there to be a lot more of these tasks coming from the CCP side. Large skill injectors, they typically follow the Plex price. They have been lagging a little bit. If you look at skill farming profit, it's somewhere around negative 1.7 billion if you don't take advantage of any sales. That's quite a big loss right now. So I would expect, looking at the Plex price right now, I would expect large skill injectors to maybe tack on another 10%. If you can get these on buy orders right now, I would think they're a good buy right now. Skill extractors, they often follow the same path, and we saw a sale 2 weeks ago on these, a pretty significant one, and now they have started rising again. So that sale did very, very little. So you can see there's a lot of upward pressure on anything related to Plex right now. Let's look at the big winners of the week. All right. Last week, we had almost all moon materials on the losing side. So, 2 weeks ago, it was Siege Green pushing moon materials up. Last week, moon materials crashed back down. Now, a lot of them are coming back up. It's just a seesaw movement right now. It's not clear where the market's going to end up. I think from the MER, what is clear is that the production increase wasn't as big as a lot of us hoped for. So, that is why even moon materials, which are mostly related to tier 2 manufacturing, but also a little bit in some of the other things that were impacted by Siege Green, like capital ships, they haven't moved massively. So stay tuned there. Right now, just very volatile markets. You can make some short-term investment profits, but in the long term, it's kind of difficult to see where they're going to go. On the winner's side, also the ship, the only ship over 5 billion in market volume that moved more than 10% was the Balgorn. I don't know if this is connected to the 1v1 proving grounds that we're seeing. Typically, those don't include faction ships. I don't know if they will this time, and I don't know if anyone would be insane enough to use them. Maybe Chad has to answer that question. But it did spike quite a bit. Maybe it's just because it's a popular fleet ship in current fleet makeups in wars that are going on. So that's the Balgorn. The auto integrity preservation seal also went back up 10%, but that's only because it was coming from a very low starting point last week. This has corrected down from about 200k to 47k. This is a direct impact of Siege Green, as we've discussed at length in the last weeks. And so I think this is a good equilibrium right now. It's gonna end up somewhere around here. Hypercores, we just discussed this right before the recording. Hypercores, even though they increased even more than Plex, this is likely directly impacted to Plex, and the 20 or 30% increase that we saw this week is probably just because it's a knee-jerk reaction to the Plex hike that we also saw this week because of the sale that is going on. So we're seeing that that spike. Let me use that to say the HyperNet is a terrible invention, and please don't use it. There's no way, if you're not running the raffle, then you're losing money, and it's a terrible economic decision. So stay away from the HyperNet. All right, let's look at the losers of the week. Losers of the week. There's a bunch of Dead Space modules that trade over 5 billion ISK a day and that dropped more than 10%. In this case, all of the three dropped more than 15% this week. The Senti A-type multispectrum coding, although they are still in a space where I wouldn't call it a buy recommendation. These are now trading at 150 million. 150 million is still a very normal price there. The X-types, the Pith X-type large shield booster, those are very cheap right now. And you can use the current price dip to around 280 to stock up on these. This is going to be a good investment in the long run, I feel. And the Pitham A-type medium shield booster, those are also in very interesting territory right now. The buy orders are at 350. 350 is historically speaking a very, very good price for these. So remember, all of these three trade over 5 billion a day. So this is very, very liquid. So if you can get these at a good price, chances are sitting on them for a week, a month or two is going to make you a lot of money. Now we also have moon materials that are big losers on the market this week. Plasmonic nanomaterials and ceramic fibers. Those two both crashed a lot, but this is usually just because the advanced moon materials, so those are the reaction results that come out of using moon materials in reactions, they lag a lot of time. So if you have the raw moon materials going up a week, then you see advanced moon materials going up the week after, because a lot of industrialists don't immediately react, but they have lagging, a little bit of lag in there. You look at the ships that went down in price this week a lot. We're seeing definitely the mining barges, so the Hulk, the Mackinac, the Skiff, those all, they were already cheap, but they dropped down even more. So these are just very, very, very cheap right now. They're not trading below build cost yet right now, but they are just very cheap. So if you're in the market for mining barges right now is a good time to buy them. Interestingly enough, the Providence, the Amar freighter, dropped a lot in price, but it's not nearly cheap enough. So freighters are an enigma to me after Siege Green, because Siege Green should have dropped freighters down closer to 2 billion, and they're still trading around 3 billion. These are, if you ask me, they are way overpriced, right? And this market has not shaken up yet. There's no way that the price is not going to drop on freighters, all right? If you have freighters for investment reasons, then I don't know how to tell you this, but I don't have any anymore, and if I were you, I would sell these as quickly as possible. All right. There's still demand out there. You can see even the Providence. There's 4 people willing to pay 3 billion for it, but the production cost, as I said, is very close to 2 billion. So let's see. Let's see where that market goes. The VedMac dropped again from high 60s to low 60s. This is direct impact from Siege Green. The Dracovac and the VedMac were the ones impacted the most by these changes, and you can see by the volume this ship instantly became very, very popular again. So these you know, it can't drop anymore, really. For these to drop more, we would have to see abyssal materials getting a lot cheaper again. So we'll see what happens there. But this is besides this being a fantastic price to fly a good ship, you know, this should be just about equilibrium. I don't think it's going to be dropping down that much more. Federation Navy Fleet Kernel Insignia. I mean, these are insignias that you use to trade in at the LP store for things like the large shield extender, the Caldari Navy large shield extender, and the Caldari Navy ballistic control system. You can see these have all been dropping in price lately, and so this is, you know, following the same direction, but there isn't really anything here. It came from a very high base price, so there's not really any investment move to be done there, just as an information. And then I'm going to skip over some of this. The neurovisual input matrix is interesting because this is, I've said this in past weeks, this is a fairly, you know, significant chunk of T3 production, right? So this big drop right here, if you look at market availability, it's clear that at this point somebody dropped a metric shit ton, which is the official term for this, a metric shit ton of them onto the market here, and the same thing happened here. So somebody, probably not the same person, but it's the same market dynamic. In August dropped a shit ton on the market, and now in May again, or in April, May again. So this is more an indicator of the dynamics in this market, where people probably are farming these in wormhole space, leaving it there, and if a big alliance carries them out of the wormhole into JITA, they very regularly crash the market. And so this would indicate that we're coming into a territory where these are very good investment again, because it's not like T3 ships have become a lot less popular, right? If you look at Tengus, you look at Lokis, you look at Jackdaws, they're all being flown, and they're all popular, but neurovisual input matrices are just you know, very much more available in the market than they used to be when the prices were constantly rising. So interesting market to keep your eye on, and maybe we're coming into a good investment territory here on those. The power circuits, they are mostly used in one specific rig. So the medium core defense field extender, that is right here, that has recently spiked in price. It uses power circuits, logic circuits, and enhanced ward consoles. The enhanced ward console is the reason why the price spike happened. This is one of the highest traded salvage materials, and it has been absolutely spiking in price, right? This is the bottleneck of medium core defense field extender 2 production. The reason why I'm focusing on that rig is because that rig really, if you look at trade volume, is insanely higher traded than all of the other ones, right? Shield extenders are just one of the most popular rigs, right? Now, number one, if you have enhanced ward consoles, good time to liquidate, right? The price is absolutely insane, right? But you know, another thing to watch out for here is power circuits. They are hurting right now because there's not enough enhanced ward consoles to keep production up, right? If this is the bottleneck, then power circuits and logic circuits are being hurt by the unavailability of enhanced ward consoles. Once this is fixed, power circuits will go back up again as well. So to me, I said this last week as well, anytime power circuits are below 300, definitely a good time to invest in these, and I'm buying these again, right? Now, let me quickly, because we're already over time, I think, again, let's quickly talk about those items that are very in short supply in the market, right? chaotic electrical filament. These are all of these items are very high volume and they're basically gone in the market. Chaotic electrical filaments, high trade volume, very exciting to trade because you can get these on buy orders and sell orders fulfilled basically every day on hundreds of units. If you look at the availability, this looks like a lot, but this is really much less than one trade day. So chaotic electrical filament could easily spike to 25, 27 in the upcoming days and weeks. So very excited item to look at. I'm going to skip over this covert ops cloaking device too, because it has been just doing strange things. I'm convinced somebody's just messing with that market. I'll instead focus on high-grade crystal omegas. Currently very cheap, almost gone in the market, right? Very exciting thing to trade right now. If you get buy orders fulfilled, which is not as easy but possible, right? Absolute banger right now, under 700 million. But even this 770 sell order right here is not a bad price, right? These frequently spike well over 800, especially if the availability is not there. I mean, you look at these, the average daily trade volume is 25, and there's just there's less than 25 left in the market. So this could spike very well. Mid-grade crystal epsilon, very similarly, currently cheap, 50 traded a day. Maybe 30, 40 left in the market. So this is another one that is exciting to look at right now. 0-point condensate doesn't really matter in this view because it almost always has less than one trade day available. It's very highly traded, but there's so many people running abyssals that so many of these are hitting the market every day that it just somehow always manages to stay liquid. And you can't really mess with the market because the supply is coming by so quickly. I'm going to finish today with one of my favorite trade items, right? The Capsuleer Day 16 Praxis and Skin Crate. If you don't know this, I've mentioned this a lot of times on my stream. This is the item that lets you take a battleship into a wormhole that is 1 cubic meter in size, right? So this is basically a mistake. This was a reward from a Capsuleer Day with 4 cubic meters. It will actually unpack into a full-size Praxis. So you could take an interceptor or any frigate and take a bunch of these battleships anywhere, basically, especially into wormholes. So a very special item. Shouldn't be in the game, but is. It's obviously worth a lot more than a Praxis because it's a tiny Praxis that turns into a full-size Praxis. This week somebody bought out the entire market again. This happens on a frequent basis. It wasn't me, I promise, right? Even though I am holding a lot of these. If you're holding these, 280 is obviously probably higher than you paid for these, which is interesting. But also, if you're stockpiling these like me, keep an eye out for these. Always have some sell orders out there because, as I said, every few months somebody comes in, buys the whole stack because they just need a lot of pocket Praxi, I guess, and clown car Praxis. I like that. If you're not out there, if you don't have your sell orders out there, then you're not going to be profiting from this. Because if you then go in and then post, then it's typically difficult to liquidate a lot of them again, and so you gotta have them out there. All right, that's it for the Oz report on June 11th. By now it's already June 12th, 2022, and we're going to return to the regular stream. And if you're listening to this on the podcast or on YouTube, then I'll see you guys next week.